criminal, shady towns and stuff like that, and even kind of underground places. We have a handful of those types of places built in tunnels and stuff like that. Like I think that this place is really going to have like a very fun, kind of fatalistic, flavor to it, which I think will be really, really cool, and I'm really looking forward to getting into. So, yeah, that'll do it for this episode of Lore Makers. A big thank you, of course, to our subscribers who help us create additional content like this, and a bigger thank you, of course, to everyone out there in the community who helped make this game amazing. And again, if you'd like to learn more about the system or all of the other systems, you should definitely check out our star map, because it is super dope and filled with really, really cool little tidbits and stuff like that. And we also have, if you're interested in Tyrol specifically, we actually have a galactic guide too that sort of digs a little deeper into it, which we'll kind of link into the description to make it easier to find. But again, that's it. Thank you for all your support. I'm Dave Haddock, and I will see you in the verse, or probably get shot by you in Star Marine. Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest
Chris Roberts,
Squadron 42's development, please.
And he should be English, but I think he lives in United States, Los Angeles. Yes, but I need to look my uploads, so I have to find this ship commercials. Let's see what's next. TAs. Yes, copy. Give it a like. But I have to keep looking my upload to YouTube, because I never get finished to upload. I'm still 2 days behind. So I have to find the ship commercials. But this is the Tayak systems. This duplicates. And so Star Citizen ship commercial. Yes, I have to get up in my bed. I cannot do that while I'm laying down. Ship commercial. Yes. I have to look my uploads to YouTube, if it's running or not. And it's dark outside, so I have to close blinds.
Resolution, comfort. When traveling the stars, the journey is just as important as the destination. The 600i Touring Edition from Origin. It's nice to know there's one series of ships you can rely on. Like if the job calls for a little more cargo room, you can rest easy with double the maximum rear payload. Maybe you need to go that extra mile. 4 dedicated fuel tanks will get you there, and then some. And when you're expecting trouble on the horizon, well, even the most brazen outlaw's gonna think twice staring down 2 tailor-made missile launchers. Whatever life throws at you, we've got you covered. MISC Freelancer, built for life.
My upload is running. So that's good. Let's add 2 more files.
There's a new hunter stalking the skies. Take warning. Maximum pilot visibility. Daunting suppression options. Riskless onboard detainment. All at your fingertips. The predators have become the prey. The 2949 Hawk from Anvil. Rise above. There are some designs that transcend time. We look to the past for inspiration to craft the light fighter of the future. Unmatched design, best-in-class maneuverability. Leave your enemies bewildered. After all, how can you kill what you can't catch? The 2949 Arrow from Anvil. Rise above. Available now. See your authorized Anvil dealer for
Yes, the
details.
sound is a little bit loud. Yeah, that's... Yes, but I add a few more files. And that's the Tayak star system. We have the star, of course. Nobody lives there, that's too hot. And the Tayak 1, that's close to the green belt. That could maybe somebody live there. Habitat low, terrestrial rocky. A small terrestrial rocky planet without an atmosphere. Have a jump point, then Tayak number 2. Habitat low. This last gas giant is known for his Eve-inspiring planetary rings. And the last one, number 3, called Shepherd, Tayak number 3, that's nobody. Habitat low, dwarf planet, nicknamed Shepherd due to its proximity to the asteroid belts. This dwarf planet looks like it's overseeing its flocks of asteroids. So we have no habitat planets. No. So let's see what they are saying about that. The Tayak star systems.
And welcome to another edition of Loremaker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm your host for today, senior writer Will Weisbaum, and if you haven't joined us before, Loremaker's Guide is a guide from us, the Loremakers, to the galaxy. We basically take you through one of our many star systems and give you the lowdown on the lore side about all its ins and outs and happenings. And it's all thanks to the absolutely fantastic Arc Star Map, which we're going to get into a lot of detail on today because of our system. Tayak is actually the home of the Ark. So let's go head over there now. We'll bring up a route. We're starting at beautiful Earth. So we're gonna go from Earth and we're gonna head on out to Tayak. So let's see, what size ship do I want to do? I think medium. Not the obvious choice, but it works for me. 12 jumps, and we don't have that kind of time. 6 jumps. Costs a little bit more, but it's going to be good. Let's head out. So here we are on Sol.
whiz on over to Davian. Ooh. Over to Killian. From there to Ellis. Stop, enjoy a race and a hot dog. And we'll go from there to Magnus. From there to Tara. And then we have one last final jump, hopefully to, hey, Magnus. What happened? Something went horribly wrong. All right, just imagine that worked. Screw it, we're gonna do it live. We're doing it live. And then we arrive in Tyack. Welcome. So, to give you a quick overview to start, this is a UEE system. It is a whopping 2.85 AU astronomical units wide across. The star at the center, known as Tyack, is a G6 main sequence star. It's yellowish white, and it's got a solar radius of 0.88, which is a little bit smaller than our own sun over here in Sol. It's got a classy green band, which you can see that greenish area there, which starts from its inner point of 0.78 AU and goes all the way out to 1.13. There are 3 planets orbiting around Tyack the star. We have Tyack 1, sometimes called Vespa, sometimes not. And around Tyack 1 is our main point of interest in the system, which we'll be talking a lot more about in a little bit, called the Arc. We also have Tyack 2, which is a gas giant, and it's got Saturn-like rings around it, as you can see here, nicely rendered. And they're really dense, so it provides a nice stark contrast against the bright gas giant when you can see these rings. It's kind of a cool place to visit. And then from there, a little bit beyond Tyack 2, we have the Tyack Belt Alpha. Alpha means it's the first belt, so that is quite nice. And for those of you who may not be quite familiar with our solar system naming, how it works is that the star has typically the same name as the system, so in this case, Tyack system has a Tyack star, and from there we go, planets have Roman numeral numbering, so the first planet in the system is Tyack 1, or written as Tyack I, and Tyack 2 would be Tyack II. And from there we go moons, which are written in the case of the normal number followed by a letter. So it would be, if Tyack 1 had a moon, it would be Tyack 1A. And then you go into asteroid belts, which are listed with the Roman alphabet. So it goes asteroid belt alpha, asteroid belt beta. So it's a fun thing there. After the Tyack belt alpha, we have our final planet in the system, Tyack 3, which is a rocky dwarf planet, and it's pretty far out there. It's got an orbital period of 1,847 standard Earth days. It's commonly known as Shepherd because it's kind of seen as watching over its flock of asteroids nearby. We're going to probably leave it up to the players to decide whether it is a femme shepherd or not. But from there, that's kind of the system in a glance. Let's dive into a bit of the history. So, and first of all, I'd also like to give a shout out to all our astronomy or astrophysicist consultants who've done a fantastic job in helping us get all these stats and numbers for our solar system. It's pretty cool that we have all these figures crunched, and as the Galactopedia comes along, we'll be making those more available. So the system was first discovered in 2524, which was part of what's known as Project Far Star, which was a big push by the United Planets of Earth, the UPE, to discover new systems for settlement. And there was a whole bunch of systems discovered from this project, and Tyack was one of them. But because there was some discovered earlier and stuff, there was interest in terraforming Tyack 1, but there wasn't enough resources at the time to get around doing it, so it was kind of put on the back burner as focus went to other systems. And by the time we started, had an orbital platform built around the planet to get going, it was just in time for the first Tavaran War to break out in 2541. So they were all set to go, and all of a sudden war hits us. It's our first interspecies war and all the resources just get diverted to the war effort. So kind of big brakes put on the TIAC system. So the war happens, and we have, for the next 5 years, heavy fighting, and a young man by the name of Ivor Messer rises up through the ranks, becomes a big war hero, and eventually will take over the government, become the first emperor, imperator of the United Empire of Earth, which has just started. Now, rather than opening TIAC back up, what Messer ends up doing is claiming the system for the military and making it completely off limits for civilian ships. So it kind of fades from public memory for the next few centuries. And it's not until the fall of the Messer regime in 2792 that we'll learn what was actually going on there. Bum, bum, bum. Devious Messer plots. So, the fall of the Messers, systems open back up, and a huge discovery to kind of what was going on. And it turns out that from his participation in the First Tabaran War really scared the crap out of Ivor Messer, and he dedicated considerable resources into these black site projects to devise new devastating weapons to protect humanity if we should ever get into another war. So one of them was centered, one of the major research projects was centered here in TIAC, and it was known as Project Vespa, and it was run by Dr. Thessaly TIAC. And Project Vespa's main goal was to find a way, now that we had terraforming technology, the question was, could we find a way to weaponize terraforming to de-terraform planets, to park outside of an alien world and destroy the atmosphere really rapidly? And so this was a very popular notion, and they spent years and billions of credits investigating whether this was feasible, and they ended up terraforming and de-terraforming TIAC 1 numerous times, ripping the atmosphere off, putting a new one in, changing the structural elements, and they just never found a way to weaponize it. The problem was that by the time the giant station platform was put into place, it was really hard to do while there was a war going on, and the amount of time it took to de-terraform was way too slow to actually use it as a weapon. So despite all this effort into creating it, it never got off the ground. But because of Dr. TIAC's effort, the system was informally referred to by his name for years, and that's why the system's known as TIAC. And Project Vespa is also sometimes why TIAC 1 is referred to as Vespa, but it is not its formal designation. So we have the space station here, the Ark, which is kind of the bright side to this whole thing. So we have this planet here that's actually been completely devastated by this horrific research that Messer was conducting. And after the fall of the regime and the word got out, it was kind of upsetting to the Xi'an to learn this. We had just signed a new peace treaty, and we found out that we'd been researching all these ways to destroy them. And so, in the name of peace, the new imperator, Aaron Toy, decided to share that information with them. And along the route, and with the idea of sharing between cultures, she named a very young senator, whose name was, I want to get this right, Marshal Leon, to the position of diplomatic secretary. And his job was try to unify humanity with the other species. And he saw a great chance to do this by sharing even more information. His dream was to build something that he liked to call the Ark, which was named after the ancient Earth legend of a, gathering of all of humanity's creatures of knowledge in order to preserve it in the face of great adversaries. So he put forth this proposition to build the Ark, and it got huge support from the Senate, and he was able to build it. And while there was a lot of discussion about where the Ark should be built, different senators were vying to have the resources dumped into their system, but Leon was very firm in that it should remain apolitical. So he actually wound up deciding that TIAC would be the perfect place to kind of take this system that was representative of the horrors of humanity and convert it into a symbol of hope. So they decided to take the old Project Vespa headquarters and convert that into the Ark. And And one of the great quotes from him that I really like that we have is that humanity is better off with friends instead of enemies. And so that's kind of a nice sentiment and really embodies what the arc is all about. He got a whole bunch of the species, Banu and Xi'an. He asked them to participate. He actually even asked the Bandul to participate, which just shows how eager he was as a young senator. They did not respond to his invite, which I can relate to that. And so, he started building a station. Of course, they ran into enormous problems of budget and like dealing with the Banu. To the Banu, it was really strange for them, this concept of like giving away knowledge for a library, so humanity always had to trade with them, as well as like the concept of storing artifacts that weren't owned by anyone was also kind of a weird notion to them. So they weren't quite as enthusiastic about the project as Leon would have liked. So there was a lot of, if we wanted stuff from them, we had to trade with them for it. And then the Xi'an were still pretty distrustful of humanity after the Cold War, so they weren't quite as eager to share either, and they were still kind of only dipping a toe into diplomacy with us. And of course, the other thing with the Banu is that with the renegotiations that happen with their people every several decades, it also makes it hard to do a continual big project like this. But he was determined to have it succeed, and he invited researchers and scientists and archivists from all over the empire to donate information. And soon he had grown one of the largest repositories of information ever compiled. And in the year 2800, it finally opened. And this was just on the heels of Leon actually managed to run for Imperator after Aaron Toy, and he became the new Imperator, and it was just in time to see the opening of this grand project that he had been working on for years. So it was kind of perfect in that way. He invited all the species to gather, and there was actually a bit of controversy with the Tavaran because they had had the purge a few centuries earlier in the 2600s where they were trying to get rid of all their past, and here were these humans who were gathering it all up in one place, and there was kind of debate amongst them whether they were okay with that and how they felt. And actually a lot of people note that the Ark might be the start of the resurgence of Tavaran finding interest in the Rajora and their past. And there's been tons of visitors every year who go to visit this, and some great things have come out of the Ark since it's open. Two of the big well-known ones is the Galacticpedia, which is available. It's the great research source for information across the Empire and the entire universe. And then the other one, of course, is this grand feature, which is the Starmap, which we rely on to not only get around the system, but to create these lore maker guides. And so that's actually the big money maker, is that it's available to individuals for free, but commercial people who want to use it for their ship maps and stuff have to pay them licensing fees. And so, it's the most up-to-date information. They coordinate with the ICC and all this other stuff. And there's a whole bunch of other systems that have come around, stations that have been established to cater to them. There's some great bars in the area where educational people gather to share drinks. So there's a lot of fun there. Probably the last cool thing that I want to note is that in anniversary of the centennial of the Ark, a great, awesome art installation was created in the belt that's worth visiting. It's called The Silent Song, and it was the joint effort of human artist Joseph Colt, a Xi'an Armateur, and a Banu craftsman team who helped build this art piece, and it's definitely something worth visiting. So make sure you come and visit Tyack while you can. There's a chance that the Ark might be moving soon, so we'll see about that. And until then, thank you for joining me on Lore Maker's Guide to the Galaxy. I hope to see you again. Thanks for subscribing and all your support.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42,
And this is Chris
follow us on our
Roberts.
social media channels. See you soon.
I have to look my upload again. I think it had stopped again. But I've done that 1,000 times, so that's really annoying, but I cannot do anything. That's the Kalish. The next one. do the search. Yes, this is the Callis.